that we do these interviews is, first thing I ask is, will you give me your name and where you're from?
Okay, my name is Greg Terry. I'm from Independence, Missouri. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 1974. I was 17 at the time. At that time, I spent 30 days in the hospital, an osteopathic hospital in Kansas City. They had taken me off all food, just feeding me through an intravenous line, and all I was getting was ice chips and actually lifesavers. That was all. I could not have anything on my stomach, because at that time I went from 140 pounds to 87 pounds within probably 30 days, and this was an ongoing thing. I was in another hospital before I went to the osteopathic hospital, and these MDs couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So the MD suggested that I go see a psychiatrist. And so the psychiatrist, she says I'm having a nervous breakdown. Why, I don't know. But I spent, a week in the mental hospital before I had a friend of mine come and get me, because all they wanted to do was give me Valium. And what it was is I wound up passing out in the bathroom. And I recovered from that, got up, called my friend on the phone, and had him come and get me. Well, I got home and I told my mother, I said, you've got to find somebody who knows what they're doing. So she found an osteopathic doctor who was an older gentleman. I don't remember his name at the time, it's been so long ago. She took me out to the osteopathic hospital and out to the clinic. He took a look at me. He says, I know what's wrong with you, but we're going to have to run some tests. And he says, I believe you have Crohn's. Well, I was so weak at the time, where, like I said, I went from 145 pounds to 87 pounds. I was using suspenders to hold my pants up. And so they put me in the hospital. They run these tests on me that were very, very painful. And they come to the conclusion that I had Crohn's disease. They decided that I was going to have to let my intestines rest. So they had me in the hospital, like I said, for about 30 days. This was in July of '74. I spent my 18th birthday in the hospital. I went through physical rehab the whole time to keep my muscles, because I was bedridden. And
tell me about your pain and what you were. Tell me the specifics of what you were experiencing.
The pain was just ungodly. It was like having a severe case of food poisoning. Every time I would eat something, it would go either through me or I would throw it up. I spent so much time on the toilet, it was just ridiculous. And the constant pain, the stomach cramping, it was just unbearable. And I went through that, and then while I was in the osteopathic hospital, I had a patient that was, I guess it was out of nosiness, but he come in and talked to me, and he's telling me that the nurses were thinking I was going to die, and all this, and he asked me what was wrong with me, and I told him, and I said, severe nausea, pain, and everything. He said, well, have you ever tried cannabis? And he had given me a joint. And I had used cannabis recreationally. I was a teenager, of course. But I had never really thought about it being medicine. Well, I smoked that joint in my bathroom in the hospital, and the next day, I felt 100% better. I got up. I was on my own 2 feet. And I was feeling great the next day after I'd smoked that joint. And, the pain was gone. And I went in and I got up and I asked the nurse, hey, this IV's come out. And she looked at me and she says, what are you doing out of bed? And then that's when they told me they thought I was going to die. And I said, well, I'm not dead. I'm here. I was in there for another 10 days. And they let me out of the hospital, had me on a drug called a sulfazine. It was like having constant heartburn all the time. And it didn't seem like it was doing anything for me. So I continued to smoke the cannabis, and the cannabis worked. Well, in 1980, I was doing fine, but about 1980, I started having issues. And I had quit smoking pot because actually I wasn't able to hold a job, so I couldn't afford it. And anyway, in 1980, I went to another doctor. I will give you his name. His name is Arthur Lee Brock. And when I went to go see him, and you know, he did a colonoscopy on me. Says, yes, you have Crohn's disease, which I already knew. Well, it was about 2 weeks after that, I was having issues with, I kept throwing up liver bile. Got really down sick. Took me into the hospital, and I was rushed to the hospital, and they basically, they did a bowel resection. I had 3 inches of my large, or 4 inches of my large and 3 inches of my small, plus my ileum removed. I spent another 30 days in there on constant narcotics. I was given 100 milligrams of Demerol every 2 hours for about 30 days. So needless to say, I walked out of there a junkie. I left there doing Percodan. They gave me a prescription of Percodan. I was doing 50 count once a month, and to the point where I decided, you know, I've got to get off this stuff. I've got, you know, I'm creating a drug habit. So I put myself in rehab, went back to smoking pot, and I've been smoking cannabis ever since. And I have not. I am off of prednisone. I did go in the hospital here 4 years ago for a bowel obstruction, which was due to the surgery that they did on me. And I got to I said, you're going to have to take me off this prednisone. It's just driving me crazy. You know, I'm hallucinating on it. I'm just real irritable. You're gonna, you know, I just don't like it. So he said, well, how about if we try you with this new drug, Remicade? And well, I was so sick at the time, it's like I'd do anything. You know, I'd been in the hospital 15 days. And so yeah, I'll try it. So they gave me on a couple of treatments, got me feeling better. Well, they told me, well, for the rest of your life, you're going to have to be doing these IV Remicade treatments. Well, after my 4th treatment, after I got out of the hospital, I woke up one morning with every joint in my body. I was literally paralyzed. I could not move. My whole body just hurt. My wife rushed me to the hospital. I told, you know, we explained to the ER doctors what the problem was, and they said, well, it's very obvious you're having reaction to the Remicade. Give me a shot of Demerol and send me on my way. And after that, I just, you know, after I see my daughter and my son just see the way I was in the hospital, I said, no, I'm going back on cannabis. I've got to, you know, and I've been doing it, I've been smoking cannabis for 36 years, and it's been nothing but a positive experience for me, not only for my own health, but mentally. It is just, it's a wonder plant. You know, I cannot say enough about cannabis. You know, it's like you've seen today, you know, or the other day, well, when we did our patients panel, you know, I broke down because I know it works. You know, and I've had my GI specialist and his partners tell me, it's obvious, Greg, that it's working for you. Continue to use it.
Really?
Yes, and because it's like most people with Crohn's disease, you know, they're very thin. They can't, you know, they can't hold their food down. To me, I weigh 185 pounds. You know, I'm very, I try to be kind of active, but with Crohn's, your energy level, you know, it fluctuates. You know, you have your good days and your bad days, and I do have my bad days, trust me. You know, and there's just days I just don't feel like doing anything. But then, you know, today's one of my good ones. Crohn's disease is hereditary, and God forbid that one of my kids come down with it, or one of their kids come down with Crohn's disease, because it's very possible they could, that they would have the access to this plant to use instead of all the pharmaceuticals that they want to pump in you.
Sounds great, dude. Thank you so much.
I hope it works out. I like to see myself on a silver screen.
Well, thank you so much for all that you've done for this movement, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I'm out there for you, buddy. We're going to get more interviews.
Sounds great, man. We'll just keep hitting it, dude, until we win.
We're going to win this fight. We will win it. We will win it in Missouri, and we will win it